Are you curious about the gripping story of the once wealthiest nation and their stunning downfall? Hold on tight as this video delves into their fascinating history and explains to how it went from riches to rags. Can you guess which country we're talking about? Brace yourself from an intriguing journey filled with twists and turns and discover the truth behind their tragic fall. Hey guys, welcome back to Proactive Investing. Before we get into it, don't forget to click that subscribe button to be part of Proactive Investing. Trust us, you don't want to miss out on the valuable insights and strategies that we have in store just for you. Get ready for a mini adventure to the smallest republic in the world, Nauru. This little island nation, once known as Pleasant Island, is located in the Central Pacific and has Banaba Island as Kiribati as its closest neighbor. But don't worry, Nauru isn't too far from the action. It's just south of the Marshall Islands, southeast of the Federated States of Micronesia, and even closer to the Solomon Islands than Papua New Guinea. With a size of only 21 kilometers squared, or 8.1 square miles, Nauru is not only the smallest Republican island country in the world, but also the third smallest country globally, trailing the Vatican City and Monaco. And the cherry on top? This tiny island home is home to a tight-knit community of 10,000 people, making it the second smallest city in the world, or at least one that's not a colony or foreign territory. So pack your bags and join us on a visit to one of the richest islands of Nauru. Nauru was colonized by people from Micronesia before 1000 BCE, but in the late 19th century, the German Empire conquered it and declared it to be one of its colonies. Following World War I, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom were given control over Nauru as a League of Nations mandate. Nauru was held by Japanese forces during World War II and omitted from the Allied drive across the Pacific. After the war, the United Nations took over as the trustee of Nauru until it finally declared independence in 1968. Nauru joined the Pacific Community, or PC, in 1969, solidifying its place among the Pacific Islands. Nauru, which is one of the world's lowest populations, is well renowned for its rich to poor past. The situation was dire at the time, but Nauru has subsequently returned to prosperity. Between 2004 and 2019, its GDP saw a steady average increase of 6.7% at constant prices, and its income per capita skyrocketed by 5 times since 2007. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more impressive, Nauru was readmitted to the High Income Nation Club by the World Bank last year after surpassing the high income criteria, $12,535. Who would have thought this little island nation could surprise us so much? Do you know the primary source of income for Nauru? In the 1970s and 1980s, Nauru's primary source of wealth was phosphate mining. Phosphate mining is the process of extracting phosphate minerals from the Earth's surface, which are commonly used in fertilizers and other products. This little island nation was rolling in the dough, with its per capita GDP reaching a staggering $50,000 in 1975, making it second only to Saudi Arabia. The high phosphate prices in the 1970s were what put Nauru on the map, but as the years went by, phosphate shipments started to decline. By the 1990s, average yearly phosphate exports had plummeted to just 1/5 of what they were during the 1970s after accounting for inflation. Nauru was sitting on a gold mine when it declared independence from its trustees in 1968. Hughes estimates that the total value of its assets per person was a whopping $500,000. However, during the boom years, spending was not put to good use. Instead of being invested for the future, the money was mostly used for high public wages and excessive consumer spending. And if that wasn't enough, some of the investments made during this time were, let's just say, questionable at best. It's like they were throwing away money at the wind and just hoping for the best. Step right up and test your knowledge of Nauru culture. Can you guess the official language of the island nation in the comments below? If you think you're feeling daring, then give it a shot. And if you're not so sure, it's said that only people who are subscribed to Proactive Investing know the answer. Just kidding. But still subscribe though. Don't worry, we'll spill the beans at the end of the video and see if you're right. In the 1990s, Nauru was feeling the squeeze as its phosphate income decreased and its government spending started to outpace its revenues. To try and make ends meet, Nauru tried some desperate tactics like being an offshore tax haven and selling passports. But those methods eventually got the boot. The Nauru Phosphate Royalties Trust plummeted from $1.3 billion high in 1990 to just $0.3 billion in 2004. How did Nauru turn things around and become a high-income nation again? The answer is simple. The government is in control and spends more than its GDP. Over the past decade, government revenue has increased almost tenfold after accounting for inflation, from $30 million in 2011 to 2012 to $269 million in 2019 to 2020. And as its income has risen, so has its spending, going from $128 million in 2013 to 14 to $242 million in 2019 to 2020. Do you know the full form of RPC? RPC means Regional Processing Center. The RPC, which was established in 2001, shuttered in 2008, and reopened in 2012, has been the most prominent new revenue source. Despite its tumultuous history, the RPC has been a game changer, with the government projecting a whopping 58% of Nauru's total revenue to come from this center. It is surprising that Nauru has been able to maintain its RPC profits despite the fact that the number of people seeking asylum has declined from its peak of 1,233 in 2014 to just 211 as of early 2020. With a contract valued at a staggering $29 million per month, the Nauruan government ranked in around $150 million from the RPC last year alone. Along with a big employer, the RPC also generates a sizable amount of cash. In 2019 to 2020, 51% of the Nauruan workforce was employed by the government and 15% by the RPC. The second major factor in Nauru's steep revenue growth is the increase in the value of fishing in Nauru's waters, with fishing license sales increasing from a modest $25 million in 2013 to 14 to a whopping $73 million in 2019 to 2020, inflation adjusted of course. Nauru is definitely making waves in the fishing industry. Before moving on, let's dive into a fascinating world of Nauru's administrative divisions. Nauru is split into 14 administrative districts, which are then subdivided into villages and 8 electoral seats. With 1,804 inhabitants, Denigomodu is the district with the highest population, 1,497 of whom live in an NPC settlement known as Location. As of July 2021, there were 12,511 people living in Nauru. Before 2006, there were more people living on this island, but 1,500 of them left during the repatriation of foreign workers from Kiribati to Tuvalu. Significant cuts in the phosphate mining industry served as the impetus for the repatriation. Nevertheless, Nauru remains one of the most westernized and densely populated nations in the southern Pacific. Nevertheless, it appears that the nation has learned some lessons from its prior poor management. They've repaid the majority of their debt, and in order to increase its savings for the upcoming years, it created a new intergenerational trust fund in 2016. Thanks for tuning in. The only thing left to tell you guys is the official language of Nauru. It's called Nauruan. How many of you got it right? Great job nonetheless. We hope you learned something new about Nauru's economy. But remember, just because the island may be small, doesn't mean its financial situation is small potatoes. Show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribe to Proactive Investing for more engaging content on investing and economics.